Good morning. We have a little request because you're kind of just all over. Would you all just move toward the front in these two sections just for this time? And you put your marker there so you get your own chair back afterwards. You could. Okay. Barb's going to call this her new normal spot, so sorry, whoever used to sit there. There we right on the front. Yes, very good. What role models you guys are. Okay. This morning we're going to hear from a couple of one group, a couple and a little girl, right? You're going to share with us too? Yeah. Main presenter, great. And from Haley Tamala, that I think most of you know Haley because she's been in church here for all her life. And I have to say this about Haley. I first met her when she was like in 5th grade and I was helping with Awana. And to quote her mom, she had a tood. But what a change, what a change. This little girl is just so amazing. And this summer she spent, or not this summer, last spring, you spent, what, 3 months in Peru, 4 months? Wow. In Peru with Delvin and Techi Fowler, if some of you know them. And I'm just really excited, and I think you'll enjoy too, hearing how that went for her. So, Haley, come and talk to us.
Hi guys. Oh, this is so loud. Good morning. They're gonna put this up. Don't look at that. That's for the end. Just close your eyes. Okay, now we're at the beginning. And it's not 10, but we'll get there. Okay, so last January, I left from Scottsbluff right after church and went straight to Tarapoto, Peru. I mean, not straight. It took like 20 hours, but that's where I went. I spent 4 months there, and it was incredibly, it was amazing. It was like, it altered a lot of my perspectives, and it changed a lot of my future plans, and I met so many people, and now ministry is, like my understanding of ministry is so much larger. Okay, you can go. Thank you. Okay, so while I was in Peru, I was able to stay with the Fowlers. So these are the people I lived with over here, and this is kind of like the youth congregation. So starting here, this is Josh and Charity Griggs, and then the 2 little kids are theirs. That's Gracie and Jaira, and they were my neighbors, so we shared like a little balcony, and the kids would run over and like wake us up in the morning, and it was fun. And then in the middle is Techi, Delwyn, and Jenny, and that's the pastor, his wife, and their daughter. And then there's me, and then on the other side, that's Valeria, and she was my roommate. And she's actually from Brazil, so that was pretty cool. And then over here, that's just, there's too many people to name, so I won't introduce them all, but they all became really, really good friends of mine. So ministry in Peru looked a lot different than I was expecting. Most of it was actually like relationally based, which isn't what I I don't know. I feel like here we do a lot of like events and things, and those kind of shape our ministry time. Whereas there, a lot of our ministry happened like over a meal, or people would just show up and we would just talk, and that was the bulk of it. So not everything was structured, but we did have some structured things. Some of those being, we did some outreach in an impoverished neighborhood. We went every other Thursday for about 2 months, and we did a Bible story, and we brought snacks, and we just spent time with all these kids. And it was so special to see, like, after like our second or third week, like these kids, their faces would just light up when we came, and it was so special. And towards the end, we were actually able to gift them shoes and backpacks, and so that was really cool. And this pastor from Lima came and gave this whole presentation. It was super cool. So that was probably my favorite ministry outreach we did. Some other ones, we did a VBS. So this, I'm actually leading games in this picture. And then over here, this was our final day, so that was pretty cool. So these are some pictures from. And they were separate. Saturdays, there was, what was it? Sorry, it's been like 3 months. It was like youth at 5 and then young adults at 7. And so that was pretty cool. And so I helped with the youth, and then I attended the young adult. And then Sunday afternoons, my roommate and I, we did a Bible study. And so this is actually the women's group. So there's some like older women, younger women. It was really special. And then over here, this is actually my Bible study group. It's just a bunch of girls, like 15 to 25 or so, and we just met every. And this is my Bible study girls. They threw me a surprise going away party, and that was really cute. And so that's all of us there. One thing that I really enjoyed about Tarapoto is it was so beautiful. It was just a constant reminder of like who our Creator is and how vast His creation is. Because it was mountains and jungle, and you could just see, like, the mountains surrounded us. We were kind of in a valley. And so, like, anywhere you looked, there was kind of a different mountainscape. And depending on where you drove, you would drive through, like, plains or, I don't know. It was just so cool to see such a variety there. Here's some more. There's a lot of waterfalls. I liked those a lot. Okay, so now I have some couple presentations, and I was a little more liberal than I should have been, so we don't have a lot of candy. So go ahead. So what is the primary sport in Peru? You can write. Gotta raise your hand so I know who to give the candy to. Soccer. Does anyone know what the other word for it is? What do they call it in Peru? Yeah. Gotta raise your hand, though. Okay, second question. What language is spoken in Peru? Spanish. Okay, next question. What is the capital of Peru? Russ? Yeah. Next question. What time is it in Terrapota right now? Aunt Laura? What time is it here? I don't know. Sydney, what time is it? Yeah, in Terrapota. Yep. Okay, fifth question. Does Peru have mostly mountain, jungle, or coastal regions? Clint? They have a lot of each, but there is one. Nope. Virginia? No, it's not mountain. It is jungle, which is kind of shocking, but okay. Next question. What animal is Peru known for? Twyla? Llamas. All right, next question. Yeah. Which of the 7 wonders is in Peru? Yeah. Machu Picchu. It's kind of like an ancient Indian ruins. It's pretty cool, actually. I wanted to go really bad, but I didn't make it. Okay, what is cuy made of? It is guinea pig. Guinea pig. As a food. It's a delicacy there. When I presented at the elementary school at Community Christian, the kids followed this question up with, well, did you try it? I did. It was really good, actually. But don't tell my guinea pig that. So. Okay. What colors are on the Peruvian flag? Does anyone know? No. No. I think that's Colombia, and that's Italy, I believe. Mom? There you go. I think that's cheating. Okay. Last question. How many varieties of potatoes are from Peru? Red and white. How many varieties of potatoes are from Peru? There's a lot. Just start throwing out numbers, I'll tell you. More. 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 Keep going. You guys got to go higher. More. 4,000. Isn't that crazy? That was one of the first things they told me when I got there. They said, we have the most potatoes in our country than in the entire world. And I said, you're lying. And they said, nuh-uh. And they Googled it and they proved me wrong. So, all right. So that's the end of my presentation. Does anyone have any questions? Natalie? What does my future look like going forward? Great question. Well, right now it's a little blurred. I think the Lord's leading me places, but I'm not sure where they are yet. Here in a week, I guess, I moved to Colorado Springs. I'm going to be taking classes online, and I'll be living with a couple of friends. I'll be studying business. I don't really know what the Lord has for me yet, but I'm trying to give him some space to show me. So I'll be listening, hopefully. And in the next year, I hope to go back to Peru. I want to do some language school, so that won't be till next fall. But that's kind of my 1.5-year plan. I have a year lease, and then hopefully 6 months in Peru. And after that, I don't know. So, Russ? Yeah, so before I went, my mind was pretty closed as to what ministry was. I thought it had to be pretty, like, black and white, like it was either put on by the church or it was a Bible study or those types of things. But since going there and coming back, it's more so just spending time together, being in company with each other, like truly fellowship, but you don't even have to call it fellowship. When you're spending time with fellow believers, like that is ministry, and that was really special to learn. So I guess my view of ministry is more so just like, I don't know, it's just changed completely. So, yes? So I would say it was like 70% supporting people who are believers already, and like maybe 30% outreach. So when we went to like those villages and when we did VBS, and even when we held events at the church, we had some unbelievers come in. But for the most part, it was just my job was I was acting as encouragement for the missionaries there and helping like start new things for the people my age. So there were a lot of bugs. For one, the mosquitoes were horrible. I've never been one to get eaten alive by mosquitoes, but there I did. That and spiders. There was a lot of spiders and cockroaches. I did not like the cockroaches. Sydney, can you wave, Sydney? So Sydney actually went to Peru with me. So we spent the first 3 weeks there together, and on our like third night, there was a cockroach in my room, and we couldn't figure out how to kill it. And my poor roommate. So my roommate, she was from Brazil, and she's seen plenty of cockroaches before. Well, us little Western Nebraska, Wyoming girls we don't deal with cockroaches on the daily. So we were screaming our heads off, not knowing how to kill this bug. And she comes in with her sandal, because we woke her up because we were screaming, smacks it, and goes right back to bed. It was crazy. It was a good size. Maybe that big? It was large. I was worried. I thought it could eat me. And it was in my room. How was I supposed to sleep with it there? Any other questions? I unfortunately did not see any monkeys. I wanted to, actually. A couple times. I think I was just in large enough groups that we scared them off. And as for snakes, there was one hike that I was walking, and there was a snake that slithered across in front of me. But other than that, no. So that was good. The weather there was very rainy and humid. Granted, I went during the rain season, so that's what I get. But yeah, no, hot, rainy, humid, all the time. Any other questions? So that he provides. The Lord taught me that he always provides, and he reminded me not to forget about him while I'm in his provision. So leading up to it, there was a lot of things that just fell into place, and it kind of like it put me at ease, which was amazing. But then in the end, I kind of was just kind of there, and I wasn't really seeking. I wasn't worrying, which is all good, except for the not seeking. I wasn't worrying, which is good, but I found myself very like stagnant a lot, and it catches up with you. So just to dwell in gratitude and thankfulness in his provision.
What was your attitude towards America?
My attitude towards America when I got back. Well, we waste a lot of things, and it's so evident when you come back from a place that has so little. So that was hard. It was hard to go from like the way we lived our day to day was we reused a lot of things. We saved a lot of things. No food went to waste ever. There was a way to use it. The way we spend time with people is so different here. Like, if you have a spare second, while I was in Peru, we were with someone. Like, there was no time alone. And then to come home to, like, only time alone was really hard. So, alrighty. Yeah, I think that'll wrap us up. Thank you, guys.
Okay, and most of you already have met Clint and Natalie Spearman, and they have just come back from a fact-finding, experiencing, doing all kinds of things in Alaska, and they're working on their support level right now, up to what, $60 a month? No.
Well, yeah, we're at 61 or 2%, and yeah, we have to be at 90 before we can move. So.
Okay, so there's prayer for him. And then just prayer for the adjustments that are going to have to be made, things like that. I have to tell you that I never really meant Clint, but I heard his name when my kids were in high school, because he and Heath were in high school at the same time. So it was kind of fun to say, he came in the nursery one Sunday and he said, "I'm Clint Spearman." And I'm like, I think I know who you are. So nice to have a hometown boy here, and we're anxious to hear what you have to say.
Thank you. So yes, Natalie and Rowan and Bellamy and I went to Covenant Bible Camp. It's outside of Unalakleet, Alaska, and we served there for the entire month of June for all 4 of their camp weeks. They, much like other camps here, there's high school, junior high, middle school, and then a grade school, each for 1 week. So we go to the next slide. Just for perspective, it's very well known. It takes a lot of people to make it happen, a lot of volunteers, and so everybody knows if you're with, I'd go into town and you're with Bible Camp. Yep, I'm with Bible Camp. So anyhow, next slide. As I mentioned earlier, it's a lot like other camps, except for some major differences. There is no electricity unless we're running a generator. And if the generator's not running, the well's not running. So there was also no improved plumbing outhouses all month long. I got to dig outhouses. That was fun. But hey, you got to do what you got to do. Yeah, no modern plumbing. The only way to Unifleet, like I mentioned, was by airplane. Then from the town to the 10 miles out to the camp, you could take a road that was built by the Army, actually the Air Force, when they had a White Alice installation, which was part of the, for the Cold War with Russia. The road's still there. The base is no more. So at least we have a road. In the years past, they had to take a boat up the river for 100 kids. Everybody helped out. So anyway, next slide. So there's our water. That was our water source most of the time, just gravity fed into the kitchen and the wash station. The wash station there that's your right. Kids washed the dishes. Every night, every meal, a cabin had the dish duty, and so that was pretty neat. It was nice to not have to do dishes. So, not that I do a lot of them, but anyhow, this is just a picture of the group at the end of one of the weeks in front of what they called the Ark, which is where the services happened. Samaritan's Purse built that building. It's been several years ago now, but it's really a big blessing because before that, everything happened in an area probably half the size of this sanctuary, and the camp size was the same. So it was pretty impressive beforehand. So anyway, it's quite a blessing to have that big building for all these kids. This was Natalie and her kitchen crew one week. Yeah, it was Chris, the lady in the front there, she made homemade cinnamon rolls multiple times. She was there for 2 weeks as the head cook, and it was wonderful. So lots of good food, pretty basic kitchen setup. A lot of things happened in there. I think Natalie was getting to the kitchen at 6 in the morning and sometimes getting done, midnight, which seems like a lot of time, but the sun never goes down, so you hardly notice it. So, next slide. So just more as a kids, every week there was a hike day, and you go out and hike up to this mountaintop, and you'd have the message there, and a study time and game time, and that was kind of the big deal. All the lunch and hauled up in 4-wheelers and whatnot. It was yeah, that was our first picture, was looking from the hike where we were doing the service. So to be a little more clear, my role at camp was, and Natalie's as well, we were assistant camp stewards. There's another family that's the camp steward, and they had asked us to come alongside them and learn their role with the hope that can be something we can implement in with our role within Arctic Barnabas. I think maybe I've mentioned before, if I haven't, there's a lack of skilled labor, there's a lack of materials, there's a lot of things lacking. Things still get done. Everybody pitches in, everybody gets by. To us, what seems maybe not well done or well put together is just normal life for everybody that comes to camp, so they don't notice like the things that we might show up and pick apart. They just don't notice them because it's normal life. And so anyway, being there, I was helping with maintenance, I was helping with just anything. It was pretty much, if it came up, it needed to be handled. Same with Natalie. Her area kind of revolved more around the kitchen and planning, and then some of the ministry stuff with like judging cabins for cleanliness, and if you didn't offer a reward, it would get out of hand. So yeah, we'll go on to the next one. So the picture on the left there is the dining area that used to be where all the meals took place and all of the ministry or your services and whatnot. It's interesting because you can't even hardly fit all of the campers in at once. They come in and eat in waves, and generally, by the time the first cabin or two is done and they are out doing dishes, then everybody else is coming through. So I'm not even sure how they fit everybody all at once. So, and then again, another kitchen crew. There's a lot of people that come from all over. The two ladies that are closest in the front in the yellow, they were Filipino. They're teachers that live and teach in the village of Elam, and so I just thought that was kind of interesting. They've come from a long ways to teach in an area that's not their own, and then to yet come and serve at a camp. Other than that, people from Anchorage, California. Natalie ended up working with two people that she went to high school with in California. So it was just neat to see how that all worked. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, so I was, as I said, maintenance. I fixed the kitchen hood fan. Kind of an interesting story. A guy had previously said like 2 years ago that it wasn't repairable without a motor, and nobody ordered a motor for some reason. But I was asked to look at it, and it turned out to be a capacitor. And I'm thinking, there's no way I'm going to find a capacitor, but maybe I'll go to the dump and scrounge around, and which I refer to as the hardware store and the recycling center. But another guy happened to have a capacitor. It's just because nothing gets thrown away, nothing gets wasted. There's people that pack stuff away for you might need it, and this guy had one. I was able to fix the fan. I think that was the third week. I felt like I should have done that sooner, but I procrastinated because I didn't think it could get done. And then the maki, I'm not saying that quite right. Maki, that's the sauna. Very important. Everybody loves their sauna. So that was another part of my job, was keeping the sauna going and when people were using it. So you can go to the next slide. So really, even though our trip there was a family experience, we've been moving and trying to decide where God's leading us for the last 4.5 years. And a year and a half ago, we joined Arctic Barnabas Ministries, and that continuation of working towards where we're going but not arriving there as a family, and kids are getting older and kids are graduating, and just it came to be that this summer we need to go and do something as a family, even though it was only 2 of our kids, and do a ministry project that, kind of like with Haley, could show them something else. So through that's why we went. But really, it is all about the kids. This setting was not about us. It was about the kids. And it's hard to explain. Maybe not. It's a big deal, for these kids that are going to camp. It's a really big deal. It's a highlight of their year. For those that have been. For those that haven't been, it's quite likely one of the few opportunities they're going to have to be just immersed in the truth of the gospel and given an understanding of what salvation means and how that free gift is available to them. So aside from all of the things that come up and the problems and whatever, it's a great ministry, and it really means a lot to these kids that come from remote villages throughout Alaska. I mean, it's mostly Western Alaska. Go ahead. So this is just some pictures of the kids doing their thing. Chapel time, study time for the cabins. It was all pretty well laid out and done well. I mean, I'm not going to say there wasn't any hiccups or that it was a well-oiled machine, because I would be lying to you, but it happened, and it was great. So go next. Oh, there's Bellamy. I just had to throw that in there. That young lady is Haley. She's from Scammon Bay. There was a lot of Scam and Bay kids, and they would tell you how, just to hear how they live and what their life is like day to day is very much different than how we live. So, anyhow, go ahead. There's some more kids. They just, carpet ball. Is anybody familiar with carpet ball? Okay. I had never seen that until I got there. It seems to me like Broken Finger City, but most people survived. Kids loved it. So, anyway. Yeah, more games, more kids. So, it's all about the kids. Here they are washing dishes. The interesting thing is they made the best out of it. Every time, every meal, these kids are singing. They had some songs, and I don't even want to sing them right now because they were stuck in my head for days. Like as you'd come drop your plate off, they'd start singing your name. Like so glad that God made you who you are, and add your name, and just this whole chorus, and everybody. It's just not that it was bad, but it was stuck in my head for days. And so anyway, it was neat to see how upbeat it stayed, and the kids would be like, if there was 2 cabins, they'd be like, they'd be in competition. Give me all your dishes. I was like, you kids are so different than I was when I was a kid, because I'd be like, yeah, go ahead and give them all their dishes. I don't want that. So anyway, there we are. The one on the left with Natalie and I by the cross, that was pretty early on. The river was high. It was cold and rainy, and everything was kind of brown. Within 2 weeks, you would have thought we were in a different area. It was totally different. Everything was green and lush. The river dropped 4 feet. Crazy what 24 hours of sunlight will do. So, go to the next slide. So I'd like to leave with, and I know it's kind of quick, but we went there to be a representative of Arctic Barnabas, but to serve a need that the camp has. And I'm going to speak quickly about a couple of families that had some testimonials as to how Arctic Barnabas has helped them throughout their ministry and their daily life in Alaska. One being the Bruckner family. When I went to Unalakleet to fill in as the interim pastor in October and November of 2022, I helped Nick and Nikki Bruckner, who was the pastor that had just quit working at the church. I helped them pack all their stuff onto pallets and get it on an airplane, and help them move out of their house. They'd never moved as a couple, and so I helped them through this process. And then after they moved, Arctic Barnabas provided aftercare for them for 1 year after their ministry time had ended. And Nikki had shared with Natalie that was very important, because they felt all alone. They went through this very big change. They needed to leave ministry. They were worn out and just done. I may have shared with you in other presentations that Nick had performed 40 funerals in 2 years, and half of those were younger than him. And when you're the undertaker, the everything, 40 of those in 2 years wear you out, mess with you a little bit. So, and just the other things that go on being a pastor in a village. So anyway, they left. They had nothing but great things to say about what the ministry of Arctic Barnabas means to them. Sometime I will share more in depth about that. Just don't have time today. The other one is the Hobbs family in Nome. They serve with KICY Radio in Nome. And their highlight is, or I don't say highlight, but the Ministry Family Retreat, which is the flagship retreat that Arctic Barnabas puts on. It's the end of September, early October every year. And all the ministry families that are supported by them, which is like 130, are invited to this, and it's held at Victory Bible Camp. And they were just telling us how much that means to them to come together and fellowship with other people who are serving throughout Alaska. Because even though you can keep in contact, you're not seeing them, and you can get there and have everything that's provided, you know, haircuts, dentist, counselors, games, family time. It's just a week of refreshing and relaxing away from home and being loved on and cared for. So those two families alone that we served with for various times, they were only, that one family was there for 2 weeks, the other was for a week. You know, they had direct relations with Arctic Barnabas, and the Bruckner family, obviously directly with me previously. So it's just neat to see the fruit of how that works, and how our ministry looks going forward. I think it was good for all of us to keep us on track, versus we're just trying to get somewhere to do something and we don't know until we get there. So anyway, it's really good stuff. Lastly, there is always a need for help. So and much like what Haley was talking about, going changes your perspective. A lot of places outside of our structured Western civilization live communally and live differently. And if you haven't experienced that, a short-term mission trip is great opportunity. And you don't have to leave the country. I mean, leaving the country is great. I also would promote that as well. I've done both. But you can go to Alaska and experience a lot of things that you won't experience elsewhere, and be of great service to the furthering of the kingdom. So keep that in mind. Next summer, Bible camp, you can be a cook, or maybe the high school kids want to go and be cabin leaders. Would love to know if that interests anybody, or if you know of somebody that might want to go. So, or a church group, come together as a group and come and experience some rural life and pour into some kids for a week. So if maybe we have time for questions, that's fine. I don't know what time we need to be done. What time? Okay, we got a few minutes. Any questions? Go ahead. Actually, we do hope to go back and implement this into part of our ministry with Arctic Barnabas. That's not official yet, or hasn't been worked out, but the role within Arctic Barnabas is to support ministry and ministry families in rural Alaska. And the wonderful part of that is it can look however it needs to look to achieve the goal. So helping with the camp, that could be something that I take on as leading work teams or ministry teams to go work at camp, because you're impacting a lot of people in a confined area, even though it's remote. So that is a work in progress, but it's really trying to think how to best explain the role of encouraging and furthering those that are serving. Can be tailored as needed. So, right. Correct. And beings I will be using an airplane to, like a car, I can get places a lot quicker than most. Do things differently. Go ahead, Laura. $130? Is that approximately 130? So that's quite a few. Yeah, I already have that, and my mechanics license as well. That's what the last few years have been. Once we decided that we were going to focus on aviation ministry, then it was flying, training, and then it was maintenance training, and then more flying, and so it's been good. That journey alone has been exciting. God's given me a lot of great opportunities to do ministry in in Mexico, and one point in time we were looking at Honduras, and I flew to Honduras for ministry, vision trip. So lots of seeing how the rest of the world works. while enjoying it. So, any other questions? No? All right. Well, thank you guys very much.